I don't understand how Ohio State can lose to Purdue by 30 and we just don't care. How when they give up 31 points to Nebraska and Oregon State, their defense is great, but UCF gives up 40 to Temple and their defense is the worst in the country. Oklahoma can give up 50 points a game. It's irrelevant. It's fun. It's a shootout. It's the Big 12. But in the American, that's sloppy football. There's just a lot of double standards toward UCF, and it's understandable because the American Conference doesn't have this tradition, right? UCF's only been a Division I program since 1996. I'm 23 years old, and I'm older than UCF's D1 football program. But it feels like the college football playoff is a microcosm of that moment at the end of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. When Willy Wonka, after they stole the hizzy fizzy drink, and Charlie and his grandpa are there, and he goes, "You lose, sir. You get nothing." Why aren't they dealing some of these relievers? I've never understood why, when you're not competing for the playoffs at a given time, when you're very clearly not going to be a playoff team, why you wouldn't just sell off every reliever you have in order to build your farm system. Because to me, relievers can very much be a dime a dozen. You see teams build a bullpen in the span of a year and a half. Like they can go from no bullpen to the best bullpen in the league because it's easy to trade a couple of prospects to get a reliever. I like Adrian Killens. I like the fire he plays with. I think he's super talented. You should be trying to get him the ball off of passes in open space occasionally. You're not doing that at all. He had 0 receptions in this game. And you should not be running him up the middle on every single play. It makes no sense, especially considering you have Greg McCray, who's a really good running back. Like I just said, there's these false equivalencies and these ridiculous expectations, and yet I am petrified of Cincinnati this weekend. I'm petrified.
That's fandom, man. Petrified. That's what it is.
Hey, look, they're 11th in the country in rushing defense. They're 7th in points per game allowed. UCF is number 1 in rushing offense and 8th in points per game. That's what it's going to come down to, right? So what that means is it comes down to Mackenzie Milton. Can he make the plays that are necessary? Can this be his? He's not really in the Heisman conversation, although he should be. #Money Milton for Heisman. But this could be his, we'll call it his group of 5 Heisman moment. Can he step up with the lights on at night, at home, with game day on campus, and make the plays that are necessary against a defense that's been great all year long? In terms of a baseball experience where they're bringing in so much of this Latin flair, I think that's number 1, obviously, for the fan base of the Marlins to try to bring in more Latin fans to feel more comfortable in the stadium. But how about also making that part of the experience for the opposing fan that then wants to come watch games at Marlins Park? I think that's part of it. You're trying to sell tickets one way or another. At first, you have to fill the seats, period. Forget who's in the crowd, whether it's your fans or somebody else's. This is part of making Marlins baseball, like you said, for your son. It makes it a more fun experience for him just to come and watch baseball, regardless of the name on the back of the jersey. I think that does something for the fans of the Miami Marlins and the fans of other teams possibly coming in and wanting to go to Marlins Park and thinking, wow, this is beautiful. Like the fans that show up at Camden Yards or in Pittsburgh at PNC Park and say, man, that was a great experience as I went to that ballpark. I don't care. We've won 20 games in a row. Give us some respect now. Like whatever, if we lose that game then you can come at me all you want. Come at me all you want when we lose that game. That's fine. Whatever. It's cool. Beat us and it's done. But I'm talking about right now, while UCF has won 20 games in a row, there's been 8 teams in the last 15 years to win 20 or more games in a row. Only two of them are from the group of 5. If it's so damn easy to go undefeated in the group of 5 for that long, Boise State and UCF are the only ones that have done it for 20 straight games in the last 15 years. 15 years. There's been 6 teams in the Power 5. Is it best or most convenient? Because you certainly don't want to play against JT Realmuto, but seemingly it would make the most sense just to make your team and organization the best it can be without worrying about anybody else. If you're following this mold in terms of this build and you think you're going to get to the point of contention, do what you have to do to get the best players possible. Money Milton for Heisman, baby. I love him so much. I tweeted it the other day, and I actually got an embarrassing amount of responses back that told me I needed to get a life. But I tweeted that I love Mackenzie Milton more than I love any of my family members, and it's not close, and I'm sticking by it. That guy He is just a dream. As soon as they lose a game, it's gonna be a problem. I want you guys to know the legitimate, like Josh was saying and Tito was saying that you're looking forward to the come down and you're looking forward to whenever that happens. I want you to know that since the day the season ended, since they beat Auburn, I have felt anxiety every morning when I wake up thinking about the first loss that UCF will have, because it's bound to happen. I mean,
Right.
as optimistic as I am, and I really legitimately believe UCF can go undefeated this year. I don't think that's something that is out of the realm of possibilities with the depth.
No, it's out of the realm of possibility.
No. But with the depth that they brought back and all of that, I legitimately believe it can happen. But I'm a realistic person and understand that there will likely be at least one loss, and I am dreading that day with all of my heart. I think the Marlins made a great trade here. Like, they acquired a lot of talent that is, going to be major league talent. It's just when you're trading away a guy that then becomes the MVP, it becomes a little bit tougher to justify, especially when some of that talent has not performed the way that you would hope it would initially. UCF fans, if you were rooting against Scott Frost, you are doing it wrong. I cannot believe, look, I can understand not wanting him to have instant great success. I can understand not wanting him to go in there and immediately turn things around so that everyone just thinks it's him and not all of the players who deserve the credit, because these guys have busted their butts and they're really talented players, and they clearly are still one of the best teams in the country. I can understand that. I can understand wanting one loss early. To continuously still be rooting against Scott Frost, who completely reinvented this program with the help of Danny White as the athletic director, completely reinvented this program and brought in the athletes that you're now rooting for, to be rooting against him when he showed nothing but class the entire way through, it's offensive to me personally. Like, I can't believe that there would be UCF fans out there that don't want the best for Scott Frost. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you're one of those fans, I would like you to tweet at me so that I can bash you. I want you to tweet at me, I'm rooting against Scott Frost. At Jeremy Tache, I am rooting against Scott Frost, and I will publicly bash you because you deserve it.
USF, after a 10-2 season, got ranked 16th
That's
last
what
year.
I'm saying. That's what we've all been saying. It's insane.
That's hilarious.
Somebody explain to me how that makes sense. Somebody
It was
explain to
a
me.
national championship talk,
I
man.
don't understand it. The writers,
pissed
Brett
off the
McMurphy,
voters.
I'm talking to you. Brett McMurphy,
Can I-
you're reporting you did an incredible job on the Ohio State stuff, but I don't understand how you can't rank UCF in your top 25, and I will never forgive you for it.